Hello, this is Austin Phillips, and this is my curriculum improvement plan for EDS 708. Now, when I began to develop my improvement plan, obviously I wanted to focus on Muscle Shoals Middle School, which is where I'm at, and our major focus ended up being 8th grade reading, and you'll see that as I go through this plan, specifically relating to our STAR data scores. Now, the persons responsible for this CIP are myself and then Dr. Brittany Snyder. She's the assistant principal at Muscle Shoals Middle School. And now this is a theoretical plan that we're doing for a class, but if we were going to actually implement this, the 8th grade English teachers at Muscle Shoals Middle School would also be responsible for this plan and its implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. Now, when I began to develop this plan, my assistant principal and I sat down and really began to break down data and look at where our greatest area of need was. And we used a lot of different types of data, but as we found in our STAR data that our lowest score was 8th grade reading, and 64% of students were meeting benchmark. That's our lowest score. Now, obviously, for a lot of schools that wouldn't be a very low score. We're very blessed to have some high achieving students and some really good teachers with that, but that was our lowest score. Now, when we found that that was our lowest score, we didn't just want to take that, we actually took that and wanted to break it apart even more. And we wanted to focus on the actual specific areas inside of reading that were causing our scores to be lower. And so we found 3 different standards that were our biggest areas of need. And as we discussed, we wanted to focus on just 2 of those. And so those 2 standards are, first one is determining a theme or central idea of a text. And the second one was analyzing how lines of dialogue or incidents in a story propel the action, reveal aspects of a character, or provoke a decision. Now, after actually meeting with my assistant principal, I wanted to have some discussions with different English teachers in my school system and also outside of my school system. Because being a STEM and science teacher, I don't have that knowledge of the curriculum and implementation right now of English classes. And so to be able to really effectively do a curriculum improvement plan, I needed to gain some of that knowledge and collaborate with some of these teachers that have that background and have that knowledge. And so my first meeting was with our 8th grade teacher at Muscle Shoals Middle School. With her, I discussed what their current curriculum is, the content they teach, and different strategies that they currently use. And then after meeting with her, I actually talked with 2 English teachers outside of our district. And the first one was someone I'm really close to at Russellville High School, who is currently the AP teacher there. And another teacher I spoke with was a pre-AP teacher at Homewood Middle School. Now, I talked with both of these teachers because I believe they're very effective teachers in what they do. They've taught many areas. They do AP and pre-AP now, but they've done general in the past. Homewood Middle School's teacher specifically because I believe that having worked at Homewood Middle School as well as Muscle Shoals, I see a lot of similarities between the 2 schools in students, demographics, teachers that are there, and socioeconomic status, and I just believe there's a lot of transfer that can be made from Homewood to Muscle Shoals. Now, as I began my plan, the first thing I wanted to do is make my goal. And every time I make a goal, I make a SMART goal. And so if you don't know what SMART is, it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timeline or time frame. So my goal was the percentage of 8th grade students meeting benchmark on STAR reading will increase by 5% to a target of 69% by the end of the 2018-2019 school year. Now, I made 5% a target for multiple reasons. I really discussed this with my assistant principal to know, I had an idea in my mind, but I wanted to know what is a good target for growth in a year's time. And we both agreed that even though 2 or 3% would be a good growth and is as successful as showing growth in our school, we wanted it to be a little bit more than that. But if you start getting into 10, 15, 20% in a year's time is not very realistic, and it may not be attainable. And even though there are times where you could grow that much, that just doesn't happen a lot. But 5%, if you really focus and really improve, that is a goal that we could meet. So that was why we came up with the 5% goal. Now the objectives for this, obviously you know the first one, students meeting 8th grade SAR reading benchmark by increasing by 5%. But the second objective and some strategy that we're going to do that with is increasing teacher knowledge of incorporating writing to increase student learning. And the main reason I really focused on writing was in my 2 conversations with the Russellville teacher and the Homewood teacher. They talk so much about writing, and not only writing, but writing with evidence, using evidence to support your reasoning. And for example, the first standard was talking about theme and the central idea of a text. So using writing to actually explain what is the theme, what's the idea, and defend it, and defend your reasoning using things from the story. And so that's why that's another main objective. Now I have, in my strategies, I have 6 different strategies, and with each strategy there will be a timeline associated with that. All right, so my first strategy is in the beginning of the year meeting for 8th grade English teachers to make modifications to the curriculum to give more focus to areas of need. Now our English teachers have a lot of standards they have to meet, especially relating to the college and career readiness standards. There's a lot of different things they have to do, and so giving them some time, if they know they have to really focus on these 2 standards and focus on those areas because they're areas that we need to improve on, they need some time to plan. And so giving them time to actually meet and plan that out before the year begins, I think was crucial. And so our timeline here is July 30th, which is the first day teachers are back, through August 3rd, and that's that entire Monday through Friday, that first week back. Now the second strategy were bi-weekly meetings of teachers during common planning time to discuss implementation of new strategies and develop common assessments. For us, we're very fortunate that our grade levels have a common planning time, and so they are already doing these types of meetings throughout the week, and so I think it'd be very easy to implement where our 8th grade English teachers met at least once every 2 weeks to really discuss how the implementation and how the curriculum modifications were going. And now, for developing common assessments, when I talk about these assessments, I'm not talking about major summative assessments. I'm really focusing on assessments they could give weekly or throughout the week, and these assessments would provide data and information regarding student learning, and teachers could take this information back to their bi-weekly meeting, and really that information would drive the discussion taking place. And now you see the timeline is August 2018 through December 2018. The goal won't be measured until the end of the year, but the implementation of this plan is really just 1 semester, so the fall semester. Now my third and fourth strategies really just relate to when are we going to focus on each standard. So there's 2 standards, and when my assistant principal and I sat down and were discussing these, we believed it would be beneficial to really focus on one standard during the first 9 weeks and the other standard during the second 9 weeks. Now, all throughout the year, they will relate back to these standards, and they'll be teaching different standards in addition to these, but to give them a time frame to really focus on one standard specifically for their meetings, we thought would be very beneficial. So the first 9 weeks, which is August 1st to October 5th, the 8th grade English teachers would focus on the first standard of determining theme or central idea of a text. And in the second 9 weeks, which is October 8th through December 19th, the teachers would focus on the next standard, which was analyzing how lines of dialogue or incidents in a story propel the action, reveal aspects of a character, or provoke a decision. And then my 5th standard is we would give them a professional development strand for incorporating writing strategies. Our professional development strands typically are about 7 meetings, and this will take place throughout the fall semester, see September 1st through December 19th. And our teachers already do a good job, and they implement writing strategies, but just to even develop those even more because of the importance of writing and because of how writing is shown to improve student understanding, especially when it comes to the English classroom. And then finally, and the sixth strategy is really the evaluation step. We would assess the effectiveness of new curriculum strategies using STAR reading data. Now, we would be monitoring this plan throughout the year and throughout each month, bi-weekly, but obviously we're going to use the STAR reading data to really determine was it effective or not. And so there are two time frames of the STAR testing that I wanted to focus on. The first one in December 3rd through 14th. We can't really look at our goal there because there's still a half a year left of English instruction to take place. So there will be a lot more learning take place throughout the year. But I believe because we're going to focus on those two standards that we need improvement on in the first 9 weeks and second 9 weeks, I believe that STAR test, December 3rd through 14th, can really show how we're doing in those two areas. And then finally, on the last STAR test that we do in April 15th through May 3rd, I believe that would actually give us the picture of did we meet our goal. And so did our students increase by 5%? And if they did, great. Then why did they improve? What was successful? Or if they didn't meet that goal, why did we not meet that goal? Did we improve? And if we did, how much did we improve? And then we can really go back and look at everything we did that year and adjust it for the following year. Thank you.